So let me go through what all I'm gonna cover in this talk and what all I wish to accomplish over here. My focus would be basically on making you all get to know what all can be achieved using ARVR and how to develop that creative mindset to start a project tomorrow itself. So I'll go through various researches going on around ARVR, and in the end, I'll give a quick demo on how easy it is to actually get started with any project. So talking about startups, I was a part of Elixir Systems. If you know of that, it's a BITS-ACM startup and it's doing quite well. And I primarily worked with NCRT to create the ePathshala AR app that we released about a year ago. So yeah, starting with the talk, what is AR, VR, and XR apparently? So virtual reality, as most of us would know, that it is basically creating a new imaginary environment for user. What happens is that a completely new environment or simulation or scenario is created by developers, and people can experience a completely different visual scenario using devices such as Oculus Rift, Google Cardboard, etc. You can imagine, like, you can view you can experience viewing from the top of Mount Everest or being deep diving in Mariana Trench, whatever. So you can create anything basically using virtual reality. Augmented reality is basically creating alternate version of the real environment itself. So we're basically adding on things or tweaking a few things in the current reality that we are able to see with our eyes using devices such as HoloLens or even the phone, the camera of your smartphones. So a few good examples of that would be Pokemon Go and those silly Snapchat filters. All of that is AR. Extended reality is an umbrella concept of AR/VR, and what happens in extended reality is that we try to incorporate more senses, such as touch, heat, pain through electrical shocks, or yeah. So all these are covered by adding extra sensors and devices such as Tesla Suit. That's a really cool device if you can view it later on. So yeah, all of this is just to add on the experience of what we are actually viewing. So yeah, that is extended reality. So as I said before, my major focus would be on enabling you all to see what all can be accomplished with AR. And I'm going to talk about a lot of projects and a lot of applications of AR. So the first one is Instagram, Snapchat, all those silly filters. And that is like 0.1% of what actually can be done using AR. There is something known as Google I/O, and in 2019 they came up with the idea of AR internet searches. And what happens in this is that basically, if you search for a shark, you can use your mobile phone camera and you can view that shark up close using your cameras and in your own environment. That is AR basically. So the shark would be swimming around the room and stuff like that. So that was one creative idea of Google. Microsoft HoloLens team is currently working on implementing ideas such as how to interact with AR. So you can view a lot of things, but it would be an altogether different experience if you can actually interact with the what you are seeing. And if you want to push objects in AR, all that stuff is being researched by Microsoft HoloLens. Now, one of the interesting projects that I know of is creative AR galleries. So Apple is maintaining a gallery of itself, and there are a lot of other galleries as well. So what happens in this is that people use anything as a canvas, literally anything. It can be your face or your wall. And what they do is they make creative AR drawings and AR creative paint work or something like that. What happens is that whenever a user uses a smartphone or any other AR gadget, they are able to view those art forms basically. So yeah, and it is quite popularity these days. Not quite popular in India, but yeah, definitely in Europe. So yeah, now the next project was like basically imagine yourself wearing an AR glass walking through a street, and you look at a theater, and a pop-up shows up on your site, and it basically tells you all about what a movie is going on, or what combo is available, or what sale is going on in that shop. Let's say you had a reminder set for 9:30 p.m., and as soon as 9:30 is there, you'll get a pop-up notification in front of your eyes. So what can be a better reminder than that? uh, Another really interesting project is AR based GPS. Now, a lot of accidents happen because of people getting distracted and not taking their sight out of those streets while driving. Now, what happens with the current GPS systems is that people used to see their mobile phones and Google Maps basically for directions. What can be done using AR is that we can have a 3D arrow pointing us towards which direction to go, and we don't even have to look anywhere else than the roads itself. So, yeah, a lot of accidents can be prevented, and it's a pretty amazing idea yet to be implemented. So, anyone can work on it if they want to. Yeah, so virtual reality is being used to preserve monuments that are getting degraded. So there is a tomb in Egypt which has been completely converted into a VR environment, and you can actually, it is actually available on National Geographic's website, and you can view the complete tomb using your smartphones and a setup for virtual reality. So yeah, a great method to preserve documents and things which are not in 2D form, which are in 3D form actually. So yeah, so these were a few applications apart, and I would like to add on to this that this is not it. AR can be incorporated to each and every industry, in my opinion. Talking about healthcare, doctors are getting aid by AR. Like we can make apps using augmented reality or VR, where the patient itself, himself or herself, can scan her cut or maybe any symptom and would get results based on what needs to be done on an urgent basis, and then can contact hospitals anyways. So that is one thing. People are basically training using VR simulations. Those hard surgeries, no one can afford to actually kill someone in the process of training, right? So AR is quite effective over there as well. Talking about education, Elixir Systems has developed. I worked with Elixir Systems to develop an AR-based app where students of class 9th and 10th can actually interact with AR models, and those AR models were basically made out of the diagrams that are available in your NCRT books. Most of you are from CBSE, I guess, so must have known about NCRT. So what happens is that when you scan those diagrams using your mobile phones and our application, that is the ePathshala AR application, complete simulation comes up on your mobile phone. You can visualize working of a DC motor. You can you can experiment and stuff. You can increase current, decrease current, and you can simulate a complete chemistry lab. You can do titration on your mobile phone. You don't need a lab for that. So all this is being done currently, and a lot more has to be done. Military AR-based training, VR-based combat simulations, fight simulations, and whatnot. And finally, like another one would be gaming, and I am also a game developer, and this is my favorite part where we can actually play Mario in AR. You can walk down a road and jump over obstacles and collect points and stuff. So you can create a totally interactive game using AR if interested. So yeah, it is an entrepreneurship series. So talking about startups is a must thing. First of all, talking about AR, AR/VR industry in India is yet to experience its boom. Definitely, US is much ahead of us, but India at present isn't using AR at all. We don't even have the proper equipments yet available, but we have our mobile phones. So there is a preconceived notion that a lot of hardware is required for augmented reality, virtual reality. That is not true, actually. Most of the applications, you can view it using your smartphones and normal internet connection. That's all that is required. So, like, people aren't experimenting enough, in my opinion, which they should do. So, yeah, with more and more people getting access to more smart devices and better internet connectivity, you can basically, the horizons for AR are expanding in India, and we have an undominated market. There is no monopoly over here. Microsoft isn't actually willing to establish their research labs for AR in India right now because they can't see a market. But obviously, there is going to be a market up ahead, and you guys can work on creative, innovative solutions which can actually lead the market. So you have open fields to explore. Yeah, so now coming to BITS-ACM startups, I know of two startups, Hello World and Elixir Systems. I talked about Elixir Systems, but what Hello World is basically doing is that they have built an application for home decoration. And yeah, so what basically happens in it is that you can select a product. Let's say you have a dining table, you can use your mobile phone's camera, and you can visualize that dining table sitting right in front of you in your room and how it would look actually, and like a totally different experience for how users can actually interact with stuff. So this is what Hello World is doing. And yes, they both have grown drastically in the past few years. A few startups also I have that I know of include one was related to creating models as in complete buildings and VR environments for how the place is going to look like after some time. So architects are basically uh, giving contract to developers for creating applications which can actually showcase how their project is going to look like, and people can wear AR headsets or use their smartphones to view it. And there were even a few silly projects, such as I was actually in a way involved with this also. So what was happening here was that we had a contract for from a restaurant, and we had to make an AR menu card for them, and basically the customer could view AR models of burger and pizzas. So yeah, anything and everything is happening over here, and we also got the contract. So like, people are going crazy. Yeah, so coming to my research in brain computer interface and ARVR. So I recently went through a lot of research papers and have tried to summarize it all for you. There were a few problems that researchers are facing right now. So first of all, talking about brain computer interfacing, it is all about tracking brain signals and brain waveforms and how the user gets the feedback from the actions and and his thought process, basically. So we are able to analyze the stress levels, the emotional disturbance, or the concentration of the person using BCI. And it is really difficult to create realistic user experiences. So for brain computer interface, we actually, for having a successful experiment, we really need to have proper setups, and we need to give the natural feel to our minds, and that is really difficult for being prepared in current situations. So that was one problem. Then we have another problem that all the researchers till now have been in a static way. That is, a person is sitting on a chair or standing at a particular place, connected with all wires around him and a monitor next to him. And basically, we can't actually observe how a person is thinking while he is driving, right? So this is a problem. We can't tell how a person actions are affecting his stress levels or stuff like that when he's actually moving. So that is a problem. And another problem is that, yeah, it is weird to actually switch between the your original view and the monitor to view the feedback. So it disturbs the output by a lot, and that is one of the major problems. So AR is here to save the day. With ARVR, we can solve all these problems. People can use high computational AR headsets and uh, other haptic sensors along with it to actually create more realistic scenarios and add dynamism. And yeah, for the monitor thing, just like what I said about the GPS thing, you don't need to actually switch your what can I say, your view, and like you don't need to get disturbed basically. So you can just keep on viewing something and you'll get the directions in front of your eyes itself. So that is a savior. Yeah, a few interesting problems that were being solved by ARVR was one was related to spatial navigation, that is the GPS thing that I talked about. The other one is researches are going on in around the fields of inattentional blindness and motion sickness. So what happens is that people, when they are using VR headsets, they usually get nauseatic, and it can actually be used to do research on why do people get nauseatic and what is motion sickness. Basically, we can create much better environments and situations to actually monitor them. So all these researches are being going on now. ADHD is a major disorder these days, and what happens in this is that the patient is not able to actually concentrate or focus on a particular thing, and hence the hyperactivity is observed. So a really innovative solution has been offered to this using AR, and what happen using VR. And what happens here is that the person is sitting with the brain computer interface helmet and with all those sensors, and the person can actually get a proper feedback using VR, and he gets to know whether if he is able to concentrate or not. So how it happens is that they have created a game of inflating a balloon. If the person is able to focus on a particular thing, the balloon inflates, and as soon as the person loses the focus, the balloon deflates. So it's a really great method to actually give feedback on what you are doing correctly and what and where you're going wrong basically. So it is being used a lot these days for treating ADHD. One more problem with ADHD is that people usually do therapy, and therapy is boring, and ARVR is really interesting. So yeah, ARVR is always interesting. That is one point. So anything that is boring can be done in a much more interesting way using ARVR. Treating autism. In autism, it happens that the person is not comfortable interacting with other human beings. Instead, he prefers talking to robots. And what could be better than your personal virtual robot friend who can guide you and give you feedback on what to do and what not to do? So that is again a treatment for autism. Stroke rehabilitation. What happens in strokes is that when a person suffers a stroke, it generally leads to the breaking of neural linkages in his brain, and what happens is, and hence resulting into paralysis. Now, what has to be done in this case is that the person needs to do various types of movements and visually see what is happening with his body. So he's thinking of something, but he needs to realize that his right hand is moving while thinking this and while thinking in this way basically. So all this feedback can be given through a VR environment and BCI connected together. So what happens is that the brain signals are being monitored by brain computer interface, and the person is actually able to view the feedback from using VR. So even if his hand isn't moving, if he is thinking about in a correct direction, the VR feedback would be able to display it to him that yes, think like this to move your right hand, think like this to raise your leg, basically. So that is one of the method to recreate those neural linkages, and it is a really efficient method to do so, and a really cheap method as well. So yeah, those were related to BCI. And yes, so now how to get started with augmented reality and virtual reality. Now, Unity 3D is a game development engine, and it has provided excellent add-ons and plugins to convert any of your game development environment, simulation, scenario, or anything. You can actually make applications using Unity. You can make websites using Unity. You can uh, obviously make VR and AR projects using Unity. You can do anything using Unity, and they have provided an excellent method framework to actually convert any of your project to a AR VR project, and that also in just around 15 minutes once you have your setup ready. So that is really great about it. So the best way that I would suggest to get started with AR would be to get familiar with Unity 3D. To get familiar would take you around 3 days, but if you're really slacky, it may extend to a week. But you'll get a fine grasp in 3-4 days. So yeah, it isn't that difficult. You can get started with it right away. It will take about 20 minutes to complete your setup for Unity 3D and download all those packages and stuff, and then you can actually go about making your own Unity projects. You'll need to learn basic C# scripting, which is prominently used in Unity for development, and you need not worry about it because any tutorial series that you follow would basically cover this part, and you only need to learn about the major functions. And if you want to dwell deeper, you can actually visit Unity's forum and get your doubts clarified over there. It's basically the Stack Overflow for game development and hence AR development. So yeah, that is the part for C# scripting. You can check out Blender if you want to create awesome 3D models or animations, or like I said, if you want to create a model for a tomb in Egypt. So you can use Blender for that. You can create awesome models. You can create basically anything using Blender, and it's quite interesting also if you have the taste. Yeah, so Unity 3D and Blender gives you all the power to actually get started with AR/VR. Once you have done this part, you should get started with Vuforia, and it isn't that difficult. You just have to enable a plugin in your Unity environment, and you have to create a few databases for image targets. I'll talk about it later in the demo. You'll get a better idea over there. So yeah, this was basically how to get started. Talking about this, if you want to get started with Unity 3D and Blender, we have all awesome resources compiled at one place over our Slack channel, Silica, and you can view the game dev channel for that. And I guess Nandan had uploaded a lot of resources over there, so do give it a look if you're if you're a newbie, basically. So yeah, then the future with AR/VR. I have been a part of a lot of startups. I have been a part of a lot of hackathons. I have been also a part of a lot of B-plan competition. I have done a lot of pitching and stuff. And from my experience, investors love to see anything that is uh, visible to them, actually. So you give them a visibly appealing product and you have their investment right away. They won't even, they would act like kids. That's the thing. So, and AR and VR is something that is basically all about the visual stuff and creative solutions. So pitching these ideas aren't going to be a problem for you, and I'm pretty sure you'll get incubation and whatever if you are actually going to do any project related to AR/VR. So yeah, that is one thing. Now I mentioned it earlier as well that US is ahead in terms of technology. They have access to 5G at some places. Facebook Reality Labs is doing, I don't know, like infinite research uh, throughout the day, and yeah, they are ahead of us. But uh, what I said earlier, that India's market is completely free of all the competition right now. No one is aiming for India, and we have a lot of opportunity. You can get any creative idea. I discussed a lot of ideas, and maybe you can build upon those ideas or generate your own ideas over, like, in context to those ideas, maybe. So be prepared. There is going to be a future without opaque screens. You will all be wearing AR glasses, and it's not actually that far. Facebook Reality Labs is working on AR glasses. Apple is working on AR glasses. Google is working on Google Lens, and all these stuff are like actually prototyped and made available in US, and they'll come to India. But by the time they come to India, you can actually rule the market and be the leaders. So yeah, that is the thing. Go bonkers about innovating. That is really important if you're attending this talk. AR, with AR and VR, you can basically create anything. You can simulate anything. You can visualize anything. You can provide additional features to any thing which is visual to the user. What is currently happening is that each and every industry is focusing on improving performance and stuff. Like, it's a bubble scenario right now, and that is mostly the back end part of it. Everyone is focusing on performance, applying machine learning and data science for gaining analysis, insights, and stuff. But once the infrastructure is available in across the world, AR and VR is going to be the front end side of the industry, and it would completely change how the client side of things, products actually look, and how people actually interact with products. So that is going to completely change in soon. So yeah, now it's the demo time. So I'll reshare my screen. Just a second. Uh, Abhirat, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Cool. So, going about AR development, this is a really confusing and complicated platform that you're looking at. Like, it isn't that confusing and complicated. It might look like so. So what you have to basically do, this is Unity game engine, and what you have to do is set up your Unity account. You need to open Unity Hub, create a new project, and name whatever the project is. I'll just skip this part because it takes 5 minutes on my system. If you have a better one, it will take 2-3 minutes maybe. So once you have set up your environment, you will see something like a sample screen with nothing over here. So it would be basically this. So this would be your screen, and in this demo, I'd basically talk about how to build over your game development applications. And for the game development part, it isn't difficult at all. It will take you about 1-2 hours only to get familiarized with how to actually create this project by yourselves. If you like watch any tutorial, like 2-3 tutorials would be fine to get this stuff. But what I'd be covering would be that how to build over your game development project and finally create an AR project. So yeah, what we have here is that in this environment, we need to have a few objects. The object over here is our BITS-ACM campus that I made over Blender. So yeah, this is an object. I use Blender for this. Again, you can go about learning Blender and you can actually create amazing models using Blender. So I won't be covering that part. Once you have the model ready, you can import it into your project, and it's as simple as copy pasting it over here in this window once you have saved your file. So yeah, once you have your model, you can add features to it. You can use C# scripting to add interactivity. You can make a ball roll down the nap slope, or you can make a working clock for our clock tower. You can do anything with C# scripting, Unity, and Blender together. So yeah, it this is basically game development. You can We were planning to create Counter-Strike out of this. So yeah, you can yeah, this is game development basically. So once you have a project with you, you instead of a bits planning model, you can just add a game object, say a cube also. That will also work, but I'll just delete it for now for the demo. Now what happens is that once we have our model set up, we need to add an image target. Now augmented reality and virtual reality work with two concepts. One is with a marker and the other one is without a marker. So I'll be talking about how to do it with a marker, and here we have to add an image target which the camera will recognize and hence display our model over it. So yeah, for markerless it would be like you can I forgot that game, but what happens in that is you can just scan your environment and you can view AR models over anything. So you won't require a image like this for that markerless environment, markerless models. So yeah, this is a marker-based project, and it took me about 30 minutes only to make all of this, and it would be about a day for you if you're starting from scratch. Fine. So yeah, once I have my project set up, I need to import Vuforia, which I talked about. So we have a package manager in Unity, and there are a lot of packages over here. Oculus XR is again related to augmented reality, but we'll be using Vuforia, and it's pretty convenient as well. So you can install anything and any of these packages. So I have installed Vuforia. Now, once you have installed Vuforia, you need to add two things. The first one is the AR camera. So you can go about this palette over here is known as the hierarchy, and you can basically add stuff over here. So we have the Vuforia engine option available. Once we add our package to the Unity environment, we can add our AR camera just like this. We can position it wherever we want, and yeah, so I have already set up an AR camera. We'll delete this, and then the second thing you need to add is an image target, which would be the marker for your AR project. So image, here it is. Now this image is actually a database which I have created. So alright, so I'll tell you about the database now. So what happens is that, yeah, this is the Vuforia platform. Here you can create your own databases, and I'll just show you how it looks like. Just a second. Yeah, so this is your portal, and these are a few of my projects that I did in my first year. So yeah, this is a database that I just created. You can add your database, and once you add your database, this, like, just a second. Yeah, so this will open up, and you can simply add a target, choose any image. You can ignore this stuff right now, and a name for that, and simply click on add. It will add your image as a database, and then you can download that database for our Unity editor. Since we're using Unity, I'll just download it, and all this compiles and stuff, and then it basically gives us a Unity package over here. Yeah, so this is our Unity package. Once we have our package, we need to go to Unity and we need to import our package. So this is the Explorer, and on right clicking, On right clicking, you can see the import package button, the custom package, then go download whatever package you have. I used AR3 package. So yeah. So once you have imported your package, you will have something like this streaming what assets folder, in which you will have Vuforia and a few other assets which you don't need to care about. You just need to oh shit, just a second. Yeah, so once you have added the package, you just need to go to the image target option and add the image target, and it will be added like this image right over here. So once this is added, you need to adjust it such that when you view it from your camera, the model should appear relative to this. So I have actually made this vertical over here so that when I focus my camera on it, the model comes bulging out of the screen. So that's why I set it like that. I'll delete this image target. You have added your image target. You can after that you need to just when you create a project, it would be like this, and you need to make your complete game development project a child of the image target. Once you do so, it will be within this parent object. And now what happens is that you have set the image target. Yeah. So now the AR camera, you need to add a license. So the portal that I was talking about, here you can see the Open Vuforia engine configuration. This is available in the AR camera. So once you do this, this is the license key, and I got the license key from here. So there is a license manager thing. All of this is free stuff for students. So go about exploring and stuff. Create, get development key. It's a one-click process, and you will get something like this. So yeah, and in you have a few restrictions on the usage, so that wouldn't actually affect your prototypes. It's more than sufficient. So just copy this license key and paste it into your uh, in this box. Click on add license, and that's it. So all of the AR project has been set up now. Now what we need to do is basically just test it out, and for that I'll click on play. I think I need to switch off my camera, just a second. All right, I need to switch off my camera over here. Yeah, so this is done. What's the problem with the camera? Just a second. What can be done about this? I guess there's some problem with using AirMeet and Unity together. So yeah, I won't be able to use my camera. So what would happen after this is that I would just show this the image target that I had set up. So I have it on my mobile phone. So I'll just demonstrate it over here only. So yeah, just a second. So yeah, I have this image target, and now what was supposed to happen was that when I scan this through my camera, a complete model for BITS Pilani would appear in front, like in my screen only, and it would be like a complete AR model, and you can actually travel around the campus, and you can like zoom in, zoom out, and you can view it from various angles. So that is also an AR project, similar to what the Tomb project was created by National Geographic. So yeah, that is the project that I was talking about. So yeah, this gave a BT light. So I guess most of the part for the demo has been covered, and yeah, if you guys want to view the awesome nab slope, here it is, golden bits planet hour, light on that. Fine. So that was it, and thank you. Now, if you have any doubts, you can put them in the chat box, and we can talk over here. So, any doubts? Uh, all right. So, I guess there are no doubts. Fine. So, I guess we can end the session and we can interact on the tables itself. So, Abhirit, you can stop the session.
Okay. So Mudit Bhaiya will meet you at table number 1.
All right.